Hi, welcome back to the J.C. League House. I'm Janie. I'm the owner of this magnificent house, and today I want to just show you kind of a weird thing that I found in the house that I'm actually very sentimental about. I'm going to tell you about that, but I'm also going to do something at the end that I'm going to start calling a walkabout. Many of you have asked about the houses that surround the League House and have shown some interest in seeing them up close, and I have this great architectural guidebook called Galveston Architecture Guidebook that's put out by the Historic Foundation, and it just has little blurbs on every house, or a lot of the houses, and the architect, and a little bit about the family, what's known of the family who had them built, and the dates. So I'm going to start today with a house directly behind me. One, because it's the house I see all the time when I'm working in the yard, but also because I stalked the owner and she was nice enough to invite me in and let me take some pictures inside. So I'm going to do that after I show you what I found here. This obviously is a gross and disgusting picture frame. I found it up in the front porch under those slate steps that come down from the side of the house under the porte-cochere. And it was leaning up against the wall. It was wet. It was gross. But I was on my way to throw it in the trash when I caught a glimpse of the back side of it, and that really caught my attention and made me stop and look at it more closely. Let me show you what caught my eye. In the corner, normally a picture frame has a miter, it's glued together, and a nail is shot through to hold the two ends together. This one has this inset piece of wood, almost inlaid in the corner to hold that tight. What that told me is that this is extremely well made. It's probably old, and I have an affinity for picture frames. I told you before that my dad had a paint, wallpaper, linoleum store, a retail store, and I used to work with him when I was little. But behind that, he had a big warehouse where he had picture frames and picture frame molding, all kinds of art supplies that he sold as a wholesaler to little mom and pop craft stores all over the country. This was way before Hobby Lobby and Michael's, so every little town had a craft store. And when I was young, I went to work with him all the time, and I have many fond memories of being there. In fact, I was thinking of kind of two things that struck me when I saw the frame. One, I remember very clearly working. I was probably 5 years old. My brother was 7. We'd gone to work with my dad, and at the end of the day, he paid us, and I got a quarter, and my brother got a nickel, and he was pretty mad. And for me, the light bulb went off in my head that the harder you work, the more you get. And I've always been kind of a energetic, physical laborer all my life. My brother, not so much. He's more the intellectual. But it really made an impression on me, and I think kind of shaped who I am. The other thing I remember that I didn't really understand until much later in life was in the back that he had these bales of fabric, and they were stacked up pretty tall, and we used to climb up there and rest. And it was kind of a gauzy type fabric. What I know now is that's the cheesecloth like you saw up in the third floor bathroom, where these old houses didn't have sheetrock or smooth walls. They had wood, and to hang the wallpaper, they tacked up that cheesecloth and then hung the wallpaper on the cheesecloth. Well, I was, when I was 5, that was back in 1963, and so a lot of houses still had that type of construction and needed that cheesecloth. So he was actually selling that cheesecloth with the wallpaper. So now I know what it is, and you've seen an example of it up here, but it does make me a little nostalgic and sentimental about this frame. So I'm going to take it home and add it to my growing pile of projects that I may or may never get to, and see if I can restore it. Well, every time I move it, something else falls off of it, but it does have enough of the plaster detail left that I think I can mold that and clean this up and fix this frame. And I don't know what this was. It was probably some antique flag or who knows what. Anyway, it's trash now. I do think it's neat. If you look here on the front, it's got kind of a gauzy linen on it that's hand stitch that was probably to stabilize whatever fabric was in here, kind of like they did Betsy Ross's flag at the Smithsonian. So whatever was in here was very old. So I'll get some kind of Victorian needlework or cloth and frame and put this in the house to have a little something from the Samuels estate and just a little reminder of my childhood. Okay, now I'm curious about what this looks like inside, and this is dirty and gross. I don't want to put it in my car, so I thought I might as well take it out of the frame and throw it away. But I got a quick peek in there, and it looks interesting. Please do not lay flat. Fragile. Dublin. This is very interesting, the way this piece was stretched. And you can see part of the fabric of what they were trying to display. And it's like almost like a Kleenex consistency, even weaker than that. Clearly it had something red. But there's no print or anything on it. So this may have been an original backing to the red velvet, and then they just added a second backing to it. But I do think it's very interesting the way these threads very, very gently stretch that fabric over the masonite. So with that, let's go take a look at the house behind me. Directly behind me is a house by an unknown architect. It was built in 1896 for the family of Joseph B. Wolford, who was a harbor pilot here in Galveston. That's all the book says. So there's not much about this one that's known, but it is a rather imposing house. I love the bottom level of it, the detail under the windows. It's awesome inside. It's very, very original. And you can see it's a little bit rough, but it's not in that bad a shape given its age. Just a little TLC, and this can really be brought back to life. Let's see, it's got a one-story section in the back. Another cool post. One of the neat things about the house is it's almost all original inside. The bathrooms and kitchen have been modernized, but the rest of the woodwork, the light fixtures, the fireplaces, everything is still here just like it was when it was built, and that's really interesting to see. And the style of the fireplaces is so different than what I have at the League-Kempner House. These are very ornate and I love them. I mean, look at the tile in them. I just wish I had one like this. I covet these fireplaces, but I'm so thankful that the neighbor let me come in and take some pictures and share them with you guys. It's just a cool house. I hope you enjoyed our first little walkabout. Galveston has so many incredible houses concentrated in this neighborhood, and they're all special in their own way. I won't always be able to show you inside, but I'll try to stalk a few more homeowners and see if I can get you a peek. In the meantime, we have some big projects coming up, so be sure and subscribe so you don't miss a thing. And if you're new to the channel, I'd recommend starting at the beginning with Season 1. There's a playlist, and you can catch up on all the work done so far. Things will make a lot more sense going forward. And remember, check out the League-Kempner House on Instagram and Facebook for additional updates and news that you won't see here on YouTube, and visit our website, leaguekempnerhouse.org, for ways to donate to this restoration effort. There's so much work yet to be done, and we need all the help we can get. Just watching these videos helps us save this house. As always, we appreciate your support and look forward to seeing you back here in Galveston, Texas.